do you guys think that we should tip at Starbucks when you buy a coffee?
This is very controversial. Like,
I just want to hear your saying, what you guys think. Like, I can go first. I don't want to put you guys on the table and stuff. But for me, I think I don't tip. Sorry, guys. I'm not a cheap guy, but I just don't believe, like, you know what? I order a coffee, you make me a coffee, and I have to tip like 10%, 15%, right? I don't know. Maybe I am cheap, but don't get me wrong. Like, I go to restaurants and stuff, I am that guy that tips 18 to 20%, no problem, right? Because it is a restaurant, I get service, right? I sit there for an hour or longer, right? But I just feel like you go into Starbucks, it's like, you know, like a 5-minute thing, and then they do the minimum, and then they request a tip. I just don't think, like, you know, like, I have nothing against people that tip them, but I just don't tip myself. Like, what do you guys think?
well,
You can disagree with me, but like,
this is very controversial. Okay, so I used to work in
Starbucks?
No, I used to work in the service industry.
Okay.
So I worked in.
This is good.
I worked in cafe before. I worked in hotels. That's actually mainly where I worked at, hotels, hotel restaurants.
Right.
I think I worked at a whole, like, maybe 4 or 5 restaurants in downtown. And I understand, like servers, you have to tip out, like your busser or the kitchen and stuff like that. I understand, like, you have to tip out. So tipping there is kind of necessary, but I really don't understand tipping, like, those fast food type style, right? Like, where it's just a counter service, you pick up the food yourself, nobody comes to you, you don't get water service, you don't get seated at a table with a menu, you just go up to the counter, you wait in line to sometimes the places, right? And you have to tip them. Like, I don't see I don't see why we need to.
Yeah. So we're on the same.
Yeah.
So sometimes I do tip them. Sometimes it depends on the service.
Yeah.
And sometimes Starbucks, we get some really baristas who they give me really good service, and I will tip for that point.
What kind of service do they give you?
Like, something draw, like,
what would you like to order on the menu?
But you know what? No, actually, no. They give us like like cold, things like that.
Yeah.
Also, they can draw the happy faces on things that I should go back and leave $1 in there. And for me, it's also and I think that we definitely be very generous in restaurants.
Yes,
we should say that.
Restaurant, I'm 100%.
100%.
Tip. Tip your server, especially if they serve you well, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. And so I do that, but for Starbucks, I do this periodically, depending on how I feel about the service I got.
Yeah.
And generally how I feel that day. I think that's what most people do.
Okay, now here's another question, another controversial one. Takeout. Do you guys tip on takeout?
Takeout? No, I don't tip on takeout. It's like, if I order and go into the restaurant to pick up my own food, no tip. Right? And I'm not being cheap, but that's takeout, right? But if I order Uber Eats, I do tip the driver, right? Just the takeout is different. Right? I just basically call, they're just doing their job, and I go pick up the food, right?
For me, if it's well packed, I won't tip them sometimes, just because I do the payout, the tip up, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes on the server's amount, which sucks for the server itself, right? So we understand that, and especially the server did an amazing job packing for me. I will sometimes tip that server. Again, case by case basis. If you just kind of slobber all over the place, I just think tipping over while I drive is going to probably fall over, probably not. If you thought about it and really made it easier for my life, I will actually tip that.
So, but you know, like, if you go to most Chinese restaurants, when you order takeout and stuff, yes, the server will pack your food, but most likely the owner, the manager, will be, collecting the money from you. So if you go in and you're like, okay, this server packed my takeout very good, you tip them and you pay, and the owner takes the money. Does that tip really goes back to the server?
Well, that's the guy who knows about this.
Yeah.
Actually, I've never worked in a Chinese restaurant, so
Yeah.
that I wouldn't know.
So that's tricky. Like is the honor system in the restaurant. Right? I don't believe it will go to the server because it's takeout. Right?
I know it's a stereotype. However, we eat lots of Chinese restaurants before. I don't think it's a lot of them expect. If you look at the tip amounts in the Chinese restaurants, generally the suggestion rates are generally lower than the Western ones, right?
Yeah.
And also takeout, right? They usually don't expect it. Like if they hand me the machine to tap, you don't even have the option. They already put it all for you, right? So a lot of like Chinese restaurants are just like that right now. So,
Yeah. I've actually I never worked in an Asian restaurant before,
okay.
but like I've dated people who have, right? And what I know about working in an Asian restaurant is that they pull the tips, so you don't get the tips right away on that day. They calculate the tips, I think.
At the end of the day. No, at the end of the week.
I think it depends on the owner or the restaurant.
Okay.
Sometimes by the end of the day, sometimes in the week, or even like in a pay period, or even in a random thing. But all I know is that they pull the tips, so they probably do get it, but they only get a portion. That's okay.
Do you guys ever came into an awkward situation where like you guys didn't tip or tip too low and the server or that person confront you guys?
Yes, but I wouldn't say it's awkward because it was terrible service. So I just gave them like a penny when we still had pennies.
And then did they confront you?
Yes,
What-
she
what is
confronted
this?
me. She's like, what about the tip? I'm like, the service was terrible. I'm gonna tip you.
Okay,
So,
okay.
right.
I've never done that before. Like I've never actually like had that before. I've seen terrible service before, and I used to get a little lower, but they never really confronted me for it. That being said, here's a point: we're realtors. After all, we see a lot of interesting, difficult situations. We're having difficult conversations with clients every single day, so we're kind of used to that in a way, right? Like confrontation. We don't know confrontation with the clients, but like we do know how to have difficult conversations. So we're pretty well prepared to handle these type of situations.
So for me, yes, I had a very awkward situation in Las Vegas.
Well,
So I was at Bellagio. Me and my friend got out to take a taxi, right? So we, at that time, I think it was only our second time in Vegas, so we kind of don't really know Vegas that well. So I guess we got into the taxi, said we want to go to Planet Hollywood at that time. I don't know if Planet Hollywood is still there. Maybe it's still there. I think it's Planet Hollywood. Yes, Planet Hollywood. And the taxi driver said, first he said, why don't you guys just walk there so close, right? And then he's like, oh, you wasted my spot, because apparently the taxi driver, they have to line up in front of the hotel and they wait for a passenger and take turns, right? So when we got in, we said we wanted to go to Planet Hollywood. They're like, oh my God, like, the taxi driver's like, why don't you walk there, because the money he's gonna make is so low. So long story short, he drove us to Planet Hollywood. I remember it was like $6 US or something.
right.
Nothing too crazy, so I tipped him $2, and then right away he counted the money. It was like, what? Only $2 tips? Oh well, get the F out of here. And then that's what he said. And then me and my friend got scared. I was like, what the hell? And we just,
Yeah.
That was a very awkward situation, yes.
Yeah, American taxi drivers can be somewhat aggressive. Right?
Yes.
Like we were in New York, and we had some pretty aggressive taxi drivers. But overall, though, I mean, it's like, yeah, they can be a little aggressive.
That guy, I still remember, like, clearly, that guy was like rude right at the beginning. He said, why don't you guys just walk there, right? I'm like, I don't even know how to walk there. I was like, that's why I'm taking a taxi, right? Like, it's my second time here, right?
Yeah.
And then afterwards, we give him money, I think $6, and then we give him $2 tips, right? $8.
Yeah.
I think it's not bad.
No,
Like,
it's
if
not
I give him $3, that's
33%.
If I give him $3, that's
tip.
I'm not gonna give him $5 tip, because that's like almost 90%, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, he told me to get the F out. Me and my friend,
Oh, wow.
basically. I was
Wow.
like, he was like, only $2 tip? Get the F out.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was an awkward situation. Anyways, it's over. Many years ago.
Many years
Many years ago.
ago.